Hey friends, I hope the morning's treating you well. I hope you got your coffee if you need coffee. Mine's inside the house. I've done pretty good today. I'm down here in Nashville, and I wanted to say a few words about Rick Derringer. So I heard that he passed away. And just a few things off the top of my head. I have a story I want to share, but I really dig the McCoy's stuff. Hang on, Sloopy. That just like scratches my itch for 60s pop song. I really love that just that particular kind of pop song. I really dig that. Dig Tommy James and the Shondells, the Hollies, it was a particular kind of song. I think a lot of us have played that song in bands throughout the years. And so when I think of if I wanted to listen to something that Rick Derringer was part of, that would probably be the first thing, because I just would find a McCoy's greatest hits or something like that. But from Union City, Indiana, I have to point that out. Even though Ohio gets all the credit, that band was formed in Union City, Indiana, I believe. And you can check that out and tell me if I'm wrong. But the story that I want to tell, this is the first thing I think of when I think of Rick Derringer, was and he's part of a lot of cool stuff, a lot of really cool stuff. He's in that crowd with Warhol. There's a picture of David Johansen, Lou Reed, and then Andy Warhol, and right in between Lou Reed and Warhol is Rick Derringer. It's like he was probably having a really cool, interesting life right then. But the story I want to tell is back before the days of YouTube. Remember those days? Some of you guys remember. There would be, the only way you'd find out about a lot of stuff would be if a friend had like a VHS tape, if there's some kind of video. And I spent a lot of time at like 3 a.m. at a bar where I'm getting ready to go home, and somebody would say, hey man, I have this John Lee Hooker videotape, and I traded it for something, I got to send it back. If you want to see it, tonight's night. And you would think, I may never get a chance to see this ever again. So I needed to go back to that person's house, and we'd sit up all night watching that, or somebody say, I have something at Bukowski reading stuff out loud. And I spent many nights watching VHS tapes of stuff that I figured I would never ever see again. And just because that's how you get turned on to stuff, and find out I'd see the sunrise. So one night, my buddy Johnny Quest in Indianapolis, who love Johnny, if you're out there, Johnny, love you, man. But he's like, man, I got this videotape. You got to see this. And I'm like, oh yeah, what do you got, man? And we go back to his house, and he's like, it's this thing, the Old Grey Whistle Test, and it's a TV show. It was on the BBC in England. He's like, I got a bunch of stuff from there on a VHS tape, but you got to see this one thing. And we sat there, and he played Edgar Winter's Frankenstein, and playing it live on the Old Grey Whistle Test, and Rick Derringer was the guitar player. And I remember sitting there, I knew the song, and when it come on the radio, you'd turn it up for all those years, but I'd never really seen them perform it live. And watching them playing and just having a blast, and flat ass throwing down, playing their ass off. We were up, we watched it over and over again, just laughing. And there's like the crazy mad scientist thing that Edgar Winter had going on, where he drops down his keyboard, and he's smashing on it and all this. It was just so damn cool. And these guys are just playing their ass off. And I think it's 1973. And it just seemed like they were inventing some kind of music right in front of you. Just had all this power and beauty. And then that was that. And I thought, I'll never see that again. And then comes the day and age of YouTube. And all that stuff I thought I would never, ever see again. It's all over here. And if I can find it, the Old Grey Whistle Test, Edgar Winter, with Rick Derringer was the guitar player. I never knew until that night he was the guitar player on that. I'm like, isn't that Rick Derringer? And he's like, yeah, man, and he's badass. And that's, so when I think of Rick Derringer, I think of that. Even though he was part of so many other things, that was a beautiful memory of mine personally, of hanging out with my buddy and discovering this. Years later, Like Bob Harris plays my records on his radio show, and I got to meet him. I went to his house once. They did a session. They asked me to be the first artist that would do this video session thing that he was doing at his house, and I went there and I did it. I was the very first one, and he'd interviewed. I mean, Bob Harris is a legend, and he'd interviewed John Lennon, David Bowie, all these greats and all that. And the first thing I asked was like, man, when Edgar Winter did Frankenstein, Rick Derringer on there, and he's like, oh yeah, that was something. That's the thing I brought up. But I don't know. What do you guys? When's the first time you guys saw that? Did you see the old Gray Whistle Test way back when? Did you ever see? I didn't even know till years later that Rick Derringer played with Johnny Winter also, and I just didn't know about that whole era. There was the stuff with Cyndi Lauper, and I thought that was cool. I knew he produced a bunch of stuff for Weird Al, and I knew that he did that terrible Hulk Hogan song, The Real American, but we won't talk about that. But I don't know, that's the first thing I thought of. I have a couple other stories that I'll withhold, but I want to say this before I get off here today. The day that this is published, a Saturday, is Walt Whitman's birthday. And when I saw this on the calendar, I thought, oh man, I started like looking it up. I think, I'm not 100% sure, but I think my very first video that I ever published might have been me talking about Walt Whitman's birthday. And I think it was 5 years ago. So 5 years ago, I remember I recorded a few different videos in my garage with my buddy Todd and Amy's brother Casey, and ended up uploading them afterwards. So this, I don't remember if the Walt Whitman was the first or not, but if it was, we might have a 5-year anniversary. I don't know. I've started, so I guess this channel, I started actually trying uploading a lot of stuff 5 years around right now. I didn't know it'd been that long. It doesn't seem like that long. I've made well over 1,000 videos, but I've privated a lot of those because I just didn't think they were that good as years went by. And but it's somewhere just under 1,000 are live on here, and I think there's a 200 or 300 on Patreon and channel members. There's like a lot of stuff, so I've made a lot of videos over these 5 years, and some of you guys have been here since the very beginning of that, and I appreciate it. Maybe you guys, if you can remember what the first video you saw on this channel, you can tell me down below. Was it the Walt Whitman one? I don't know. Maybe the Johnny Cash thing, almost shaking his hand. I think I recorded that the very first day, or the same day that I recorded the Walt Whitman thing. But anyhow, we moved on from Walt Whitman and started talking about other things. But I appreciate y'all being here. I am in Nashville. I'm in East Nashville, and gonna do some stuff this weekend. Got an interview to do. Hopefully you guys will see that early next week. Looking forward to it. And the weather is absolutely gorgeous. It's been gorgeous in Indiana, but it got down here, and here we are like May 31st. It's usually mid-90s and humid as hell, and it feels great. It seems like it's in the high 70s and no humidity, a little breeze. It's just freaking beautiful. But so I'm going to enjoy that this weekend, try to be outside as much as I can. But I hope things are good with you guys. And I'm going to put a Charlie Starr interview. For those of you who haven't seen the Charlie Starr stuff that I posted, people have been digging that a lot. I'll put that up here and you guys can check it out. And I'll see you guys somewhere down the road. Much love to you.